I have a testimony. Let's get started. So, can you start off by just sharing with us how you came into knowledge of the teachings of the Most High Elijah Muhammad and eventually joined?
Yes, sir. By the grace and mercy of Allah, as I said in the lecture, that I had a yearning in me, but I couldn't describe like what it really was. So I met a good friend of mine that I had some respect for as we was out in the streets running. And he asked me a profound question one day. He said, "Do you know who you are?" I said, "Yeah, I know who I am." And he said, "Do you know where you from?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm from so-and-so place." And he's like, "No, bro, that's not what I'm asking. Like, do you know who you are? Do you know who these people, Malcolm X?" And I said, "Man, I know who Martin Luther King is." Right? And then he said, "Man, I gotta drop some stuff on you." He had joined the 5% Nation. I didn't know what that was. But he started me down the road to join the Nation of Islam. I had never read no book that you was describing to the young people. You know, you gotta read this book, you gotta read this book. So the first book that I read was the autobiography of Malcolm X. So as I'm reading the book, I could feel like, man, my life, this is what it was. Malcolm's life was a mirror of the life and the yearning that I was having within myself. And it began to answer some questions for me, even with some of the controversy in the life of Brother Malcolm. It's like that went over my head. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's name just was ringing in me. So I'm a big fan of hip hop. And I used to listen every Saturday night to a hip hop college station. And I'm playing one day, and a brother said, "And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is coming to Rochester." I said, "Man, that's the man I just read about." So now what's crazy about this thing is, you know, my mother was in the living room, so I got up out of the bed, right? And I went into the living room, and I was looking at the TV. And on the TV was some people, "Death to Farrakhan, death to Farrakhan." I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Like, who is Farrakhan? Because the name didn't come up in the book. I thought, you know, okay, let me go back in the room. So when I went to hear the message, it was the minister. But I thought he was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So it didn't matter, right? So it started resonating with me. And I said, man, I got to go and learn more about what I just heard from this man. So I went to various bookstores, just seeking out the knowledge, seeking out the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And a brother told me, he said, "You know, there's a city, a mosque property, a study group in Underwater Dean Muhammad." I'm like, I don't know who that is, right? But it was the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And as I look back on that, I started reflecting, like, look at all of the obstacles that was being put in my path, but that Allah was guiding me not to fall into it. So I said, nah, I didn't hear about that brother. I'm talking about the man that I heard just the other night. Then the brother said, okay, well, you can go to this address. So I went, knocked on the door, and at that time, the brother who was leading the study group, you know, he wasn't home, so the wife told me to come back. Sure enough, I came back, and I met the brother. Startlingly, man, he looked like the minister, right? So I'm like, man, he's like, no, I'm not the minister. But come on with me. He was on the move, and that was my beginning of how I came into the Nation of Islam.
So I noticed the lecture that you did today. Have you done that lecture in other cities?
No, sir.
So it was the first time, man?
It's first time.
When you sent me the new title, I was like, well, it must be a lecture that he did in another city. He tailored it to New Orleans. What made you tailor that lecture to New Orleans? Come up with that title for New Orleans.
Great question, Brother Minister. You know, when I did it in Rochester, I lifted those words from the minister's article. Then I spoke with a brother, Brother Courtney Muhammad, and me and him was talking. He said, brother, you know that that's universal. Healing is resonating right now. I said, wow, I didn't think about it like that. So I had originally told you the will of God, but then I thought about it. I said, nah, let's go with healing. And so I said, that is what I think in terms of what New Orleans has experienced. But in my mind, I had forgot that it was the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And I said, man, that is powerful. Right on time, right? So that's what resonated with me. And this is the first city outside of our city that we have done this message.
So yesterday we went into the juvenile correctional facility, reflecting back on it. You know, are there any personal takeaways that you have?
Yes. To look at those young brothers, I could feel that they took what we shared with them from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I wanted to find a way to connect with them personally, each and every one of them. Because each and every one of them in my mind are unique. And I discovered that in my interacting with them. So I took away that I believe in my heart. Not all of them are going to follow through, you know, but if it's the will of Allah, I pray that they will all follow through. But there was a few in there that I could tell that their mind was made up, and I just pray Allah that they continue to do what they said that they was going to do. But I believe in my heart that those young brothers are going to become great leaders of our community. Because something in their eyes told me that, and from their heart. And the one brother who sat at the end who didn't have a plan, he came back to me. He said, brother, I'm going to get a plan.
You know, I was, we were talking about this morning, I woke up, just had some thoughts about believers and being thankful for those who continue to hold on to this handle of Islam. And you and I were talking, you were talking about the need to make over believers. So why is that important, and what's the benefit of that?
It's important, but sometimes in this work, we forget about the most important people who have committed to the work. Our focus is going after lost found, and rightfully so. But if those who are wounded, those who are going on the front line, and Brother Horace just telling me when he picked me up this morning, you know, when he went out with the final call and some of the challenges that he was having out there, he said, Brother Lawrence told him to tell him and to come to present time, right? But the battles that the believers have, we really have to focus on that, because that's real. The believer don't want to give up their faith. They don't want to give up their love for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But if you read the Holy Quran and you read the contemporaries in their life, man, the believers who was following them, they was going through it.
Right.
But we don't lift that sometimes. We just lift the prophets and the message, but what about those who was following the prophets? So that's why when you hear the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his expressions of his love for the believer, because he understands that the believers who follow him, he knows that the believers are going through it. And he appreciates the believer, because the believer is suffering. And he writes about that in the study guides. And I think we have to do a better job with teaching that and expressing that to the believers, because the believers' love for the ministry and the love for the work, sometimes we underestimate that. I was just thinking about that, Brother Minister Willie. We had a call out in upstate New York, and one of the brothers who left the mosque, you know, due to the ups and the downs and some things that happened. But I would see the brother like all the time, and just, you know, give him the greetings, and he always had a beautiful smile on his face. And then one day I just approached him like, brother, what's going on? Come on back to the house. And he did. Brought 3 of his sons. They ended up accepting the teachings. Right? So I was on the phone with him last night, and I said, brother, thank you. Because what you have done is spark a new flame in the study group. Little do you know that. And I thank the brother. And he may not know why, right? But we need to tell him, brother, you was like a life jacket. You know what I mean? Because sometimes the reality is we be on life support. Because it's a struggle. And we got to know that we in a fight. And we have to know that when Allah sends us something to help us and pull us out of that difficult period, that's a blessing from Allah. So why not give thanks and praise to Allah for that blessing in that belief and make do over them?
You mentioned about in your coming into the Nation of Islam and finding out about it, various obstacles, somebody trying to send you to the masjid, somebody here, and you know, like with new believers coming in, and even people that's accepting, you know, there's a part of us that say, man, I know that this is right, but then there's that weak side that let me look for something to say so I can justify saying, well, I tried, but this happened. Somebody stepped on my shoe, I ain't coming back. You know, like what advice do you give to like new believers and even those who are coming toward the faith and haven't registered yet?
The minister said that the first casualty in truth is self-interest and the realization of that. So I always tell the brothers and sisters, man, listen, you have to come in this for the truth. And if you say you believe in what you heard is the truth, then you're going to be tried on that truth. Sometimes we don't like to have those conversations with the new brothers and sisters because we don't want to scare them. But Allah says that He will try you and me. Men think that they will be left alone and entering into the garden and not be tried, and He tried those. So why would we leave that out as a factor? So I tell the new brothers and sisters, listen, man, when you get tried, man, that's your time to come and seek me out. That's what I'm here for, right? Not lead a mosque and don't say nothing. Then I don't know what happened and you don't, man. That's the time to come to me. That's the time that helps me to carry out my function, you know. And we have to make that clear to the new brothers and the new sisters. But then there's those occasions where, like you said, some want to just justify leaving because maybe they really don't believe like that, right? The minister said we come into the mosque for different reasons. And I like the economic program. And I like how y'all was soldiering. So there's different reasons. But if you come in for those reasons and the first sign of struggle comes up, you hit the highway, right? So you got to help that believer identify that new brother and sister. Man, why are you here? So I would tell brothers and sisters, write down your reason and be honest with yourself. I wanted the truth.
That's right. That's right.
I wanted the truth, right? In the fact that I wanted the truth, I'm still here, regardless to my struggles, you know, in the mosque life. Because the truth is what I came seeking. I didn't come seeking anything other than that. Because if I did not be around,
That's right.
for nearly almost going on 4 decades, and I'm grateful and thankful to Allah that Allah has helped me through my ups and through my downs in the mosque life.
Anybody have any questions? None before I ask my next one. No questions? All right. Can you share with you shared it with the brothers in the juvenile facility yesterday? You know, that experience with your son and how that propelled him to do what he's doing now. You share that? I thought that was an interesting story.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, my son, I'm grateful and thankful to Allah that you mentioned him. One of the helpers in the study group. And I thank Allah that I want to give some backdrop to that. You know, as all of our children are born into the mosque, you know, they had no choice.
Mm-hmm.
You're coming this way, right? But at a certain point, you know, our children, we have to afford them that right to make that decision. Yes. And my son, you know, he struggled during high school, as he was transitioning to his senior year of high school. He wasn't coming to the mosque. You know, I'm not saying I had no power struggles, which he had to do right. Right. So I thank Allah, you know, that I didn't engage him in the power struggles to come to the mosque. As long as he wasn't out there doing this or doing that, you know, that was good enough for me. And I thank Allah that he started, you know, unknown to me. He was listening to the minister, he would put in tapes and various times, and then one day he's like, "Dad, can I go to Savior's Day with you?" And man, let's go, man. What you talking about, right? He was going to Savior's Day when he was a baby, right? And then he'll come back, and I was like, all right, maybe he'll come to the mosque. Never would come to the mosque. What's up with this dude, man? Went to Savior's Day, but don't come to the mosque. Year 2 came. Dad, can I go to Savior's Day? I said, yes, sir. Came back, started coming to the mosque. One Sunday, he stood up and accepted the teachings. And at that time, I was doing the orientation class. So for me to be sitting across the table from him, you know, it was very touching to me. And from that day, you know, he just went on, and you know, because he didn't have the desire to go to college. And I said to him, man, it's your decision. You can try it. If it's not working for you, then find something to do. So you got to get a job, though. But then I told him, I said, listen, you got credit. Do something with it. Go get a phone. Go get some fitters and just sell some stuff.
Yeah.
Get in real estate. And that's what he did. Got into real estate. Right? So I was out with my mother. May Allah be pleased with her. Because she would go to the restaurant, you know, it was her and my time to spend time together. So he called me up and said, Dad, I need you to take off from work. You know, I want you to be with me. I have an appointment, I have something. All right, so I went to the appointment. I walked in the room. I seen all the Caucasian people around. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking like, you got into some trouble or something. He said that to me. This lawyer was like, nah, he bought a property. He's getting ready to sign off on the documents. He wanted you to come.
How old was he?
21. 21. And from that, it just snowballed, took off. He has several properties now in different states. And he's also helping people to get into real estate, helping people to repair their credit. He's just been a benefit, but he's also a helper to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. In fact, I talked to him last night. He was in Baltimore and traveling from Baltimore to Charlotte, just involved in the work. You know, so as a father, it warms my heart, you know, to see the balance in his life as a young man and a helper to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
And he's married with children.
Married with children, 2 beautiful grandchildren. You know, thank Allah for him and his life that Allah has him. I always say Allah has him. You know, I'm his father, but he's Allah's servant.
That's right.
That's right.
I think it was coming to my spirit. You know, the minister talked about in the Swan song, he talked about Malcolm, he talked about Ali, he talked about War of Dean Muhammad. how they all aborted the process. And one of the things that he was stressing, and even in his edition of the Final Call, in his middle article, he talked about how staying in the process. And you know, so if you had to give advice to those of us who are in this process, who are in this class, like what have you used to help you to remain in the process?
Great question. I was blessed to sit with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And the minister looked me in my face and said, stay in the process. So that's what I would say. Stay in the process. I didn't know what that meant, brother. The minister be dropping so much stuff on you. But just stay in it. Just stay in it. And hold on to your why. See, why you came into the nation. I tell believers, listen, just stay with it. Stay with it. And that's what the minister told me. Just stay in the process, brother.
Any questions?
We know.
But your lecture was beautiful. Everybody kept saying, you like Brother Harold. You sound like Brother Harold. You act like Brother Harold. You speak like Brother. It was, but I was not here at the time, Brother Harold. But anyway, so during your lecture, I mean, you gave a beautiful, earth-shaking, convicting message there when you said, like we're not here to do 9 to 5. And you can, the survival thing, and pray to keep lights on, so like our mission got to be greater than that. And but I mean, that was because it made me look at me. How caught up am I in that? I mean, you got to survive, but this work is greater, And you mentioned these young people, like they don't even function like that. They don't even, So that really told me, I need to kind of lean in that direction, because I don't know how guilty I am of prioritizing lights over this mission. What do you say to believers to make sure that you have prioritized, that you have these things in the right order? What do you say?
That's a great question, sister. Because that is the struggle, in our cities. Believers shouldn't be living on survival mode. We should not. We should have a plan. And the plan was given to us, by the Savior to do for self. And what that means, what the expression of that. And if you have to work, get off your job. And I'm going to give an hour, a half an hour. It don't have to be 2 and 3 hours, but dedicate whatever time you have to doing something for yourself in the event that 9 to 5 become compromised. But more importantly, I would notice after I got off from work, sometimes I would wear my suit to work. Like, listen, I got to hit the block or go door to door. And I noticed, like, I had a different type of energy. Like, it seemed like I had more energy when I started doing the work than working.
Wow.
So I said, man, let me harness this. And that's what got me going, right? It's the struggle for balance that our minister has told us. And he said, it's not that it has to be equal. No, the focus has to be put where the support is needed. So the believers got to know, like, you have to assess yourself. Because your situation may be different from my situation. So it's hard for me to tell you, this is what you should do. No, I'm going to tell you, it's what you need to figure out using the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because Islam is mathematics. Use your math to figure out where is the support is needed for me, because you don't want to put yourself and your family at a disadvantage. Because work, do the work. Well, yeah, but you got to work too, to make sure you pay your bills. So I didn't want to come across like that didn't matter. It do matter, but it should not be where we're putting that as the primary need. The minister said, no, it should be the secondary need. The primary need should be our relationship with Allah. And Allah will bless us with a creative mind to figure things out. So let's say you sitting on your job and you get a thought from Allah.
Yes, sir.
Feed that thought, whatever it is, fulfilling a need, and before you know it, you're able to supplement your income. And eventually have more than you making on your job.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
2 years ago, kind of stepped out there. And I was like, after working 30 years, I was in the educational field as a teacher assistant. Touched so many young people's lives. And they told me, man, Muhammad, you've been here 30 years. And they was rooting me, gave me a little pen that said 3-0. I was like, yo, is this a 30 piece of silver? I mean, right? And I told the believers, it depressed me, Brother Willie.
Wow.
I said, wow. Not that it didn't mean, it just 30 years? I told my wife, I said, I can't do this no more.
Wow.
What you gonna do? I said, that's what I need to figure out. So I just left. Because I was just so down low on the tone scale
Wow.
that I couldn't be like myself, and I could feel that I wasn't being myself. And I said, nah, I can't compromise me, not for no money.
Wow.
Because if I go, bills ain't getting paid, because I ain't gonna have the ability to do it. You can find the minister said, you can find yourself in a state of depression that you can't even do something for yourself. So I tried, listen, I gotta separate from that. And I thank my wife for trusting and believing in me. So I took part of my retirement, and I was blessed prior to leaving the school system, to buy a property. So I put that together with the retirement money. So and now I got a small cleaning business.
Wow.
So I'm cleaning, doing stuff, because that's what I do now to put income in my pocket. But I tell you, brothers and sisters, man, I get up for prayer now. I read my Quran, and I say, well, what I'm gonna do today? Because I have that choice.
Wow.
Because I started seeing Caucasians, I would go out and get coffee, walking the pier in Rochester, man. I said, yo, look how they enjoying life. They happy? They smiling? Like, yo, what's wrong with this picture?
Wow.
Because they had put themselves in with their ability to be able to do that.
Yes, sir.
So we have to be able to put ourselves in a position to be able to do that. And then have faith in Allah.
Any other questions?
Great question, sister.
Great answer. Yes, sir.
I don't have questions. I'm asking another question.
Question right now.
Go
I
ahead.
have a question. Being in New Orleans is going to be a little different than going after the lost found from New York. Yes, sir. What advice do you have for the city of New Orleans as far as going after our youth?
Great question, brother. I, as I said, I believe I referenced it in the message today. The rich history that I experienced in New Orleans tells me that there's a consciousness here, even though it's a battle because our people are holding certain beliefs, right? But nevertheless, I look at Student Minister Willie and the work, and the places that he go, posting on Instagram, in the events that Allah is doing in this city. you know, is helping us. But we have to go to our people, regardless to the rejection that we will receive from our people. I get from our people in Rochester, brother, you know, longevity rewards. And sometimes that's what it is with black people. You know, they need to know you really about that life. You know what I'm saying? To get that certified approval, you know, from the hood. They need to know, like, man, you've been out here, brother. Like, you've been out here for years, man. When I was a little child riding in the backseat, they see you. And eventually, brother, that builds bonds with our people. That becomes more of an attracting force for our people until Allah can put them in a circumstance that they'll remember seeing you. They'll remember that you said something to them. I have a brother right now, just recently got registered a year ago. And me and him went to high school. And one day, he came through, he was like, bro, he bought the paper, and I was like, he's like, man, I'm going through some stuff, brother. And I just started, you know, saying, and he came to the mosque, stood up, got registered. Yeah. So it happens, brother. If we stay steadfast, and that's what I tell the believers in our city, man, just stay steadfast. Like, stay in the process. Eventually, as the minister has taught us, when you keep pulling on this universe gonna open up. But you gotta be able to use them principles and extract what you need out of black people. Everybody else is extracting what they need out of the black community.
Yes, sir.
Everybody. And they're putting it to use for themselves and not giving anything back. So bean pies, going back to doing for self. Black people love incense and Rochester. Man, I package the incense and I'm out there hands full, hands on, right? But that's attracting to our people. Because now they see me, man, doing for self. That becomes attractive. Because there are questions that our people have that we have to be able to answer. And Student Minister Willie alluded to that. Because they all, what is the nation doing? All we see y'all doing. So they have to see us engaged in the community.
I think, how long you been married now?
5 years.
5 years. When I first came to Rochester, I don't think you weren't married, right?
No say.
So I'm saying this to set this up. I'm preparing, my wife and I are preparing to go to Jacksonville. I've been blessed to be invited like every year. I really feel humbled. I'll be like, so the sister's like, you keep inviting me, right? But one of the things I do as an educator, you know, in education, sisters a principal, they talk about data-driven instruction, right? So like, you see where your students are, then you formulate your instruction based upon that. And I try to, when I do these workshops, to try to like do surveys to get this data. Because sometimes I feel like we have perceptions of certain stuff that may not really be real, right? So in the surveys that we're doing as we lead up to Jacksonville, I'm starting to, from based upon the data, like there's this perception. I can't say quantify, say all brothers, all sisters, but there's this perception that there's some sisters that have brothers and brothers have sisters. Where some sisters feel like brothers just want lost found, they want younger sisters, and then there's some perceptions of some of the brothers. Sisters have high expectations. They want a brother that make $800,000 a year and take luxury trips. But what I feel like is like there's these perceptions, and some people may have those views, but I don't think it's the whole. And I think what is happening is these perceptions are beginning to present barriers as it relates to courtship. And when you have these views of one another, even if it's not real, people's perceptions become their reality. And even perception don't mean that something is the truth, right? So like, what's your thoughts and what guidance can you give? What's your thoughts on just the whole single FOI, single MGT, and from your period when you were single, in regards to how you navigated that to now you're married?
Man, that's a good question. You know, because I was my son's mother. We got married. She got registered. She wasn't registered when we got married, but she got registered after we got married. And you know, I thank Allah for her. She blessed me, you know, with a beautiful son. But one of the challenges in that is that she wasn't really properly prepared for the process, you know, of coming into the nation of Islam and what that entails. And that can really take a toll on a person, right? And create some ripples in the relationship. So I tell brothers, you know, brother, you know, as the Quran says, she may be pleasing to you, or he may be pleasing to you, but it's best that you marry of a believer, right? And you see the outcome of that, because that brother or that sister start having problems. And I tell brother, you can't force the sister to come to the mosque, brother, and put a headpiece on and come, because you consented to that when you got married to her, unless y'all didn't have that discussion. So, you know, and it's the same with the sisters. You know, I was told the ministers recommend sisters marry brothers who was not registered. You know, I don't know, that's what I was true that, but that's what I was told. But you can see the outcome of that, right? Not saying anything about the brother or about the sister, but it's best that you marry a believer. So when I met my wife, you know, it was through a sister who had respect for me, Brother Jason and Sister Kadara.
Matchmaker.
Matchmaker. And she said, Brother Kenneth, I got a sister I want you to meet. I said, sister? A sister you want me to meet? So, you know, I was a little gung-ho because, you know, I'm foot soldier and boots on the ground, you know, but I needed to get married. I'm tired of going home at night, you know, as they would say, let the walls talk to you. You weren't talking back. So eventually I met my wife at Savior's Day. And I told my wife, I said, you know, we courted for quite a little time, and she reminds me of that. But I said, before I approach you, Allah showed me something in your spirit. My wife has a spirit, like the lesson says, you know, a little girl. You know, not that she's a girl, but her spirit was so young that I could feel it. And she's like that to this day. And her love for children is just remarkable. Even though we don't, you know, have children together, we got adult children. But when the children come to the moms, she started mini moms, working with them, and I mean, just hands-on with them. And they're, you know, children that was challenging children, and they go home and hey, Mom want to come back to the mom on mini moms, and they would have fits when my wife couldn't do mini moms. But there was something in her that I love about my wife, and we've been married. You know, you got always gonna have ups and downs in your marriage, right? But that over any day, because she knows of my struggles, I know of her struggles, and she's able to help me because she's a believer. And I'm able to help her because she is a believer. So my advice is to brothers, brother, don't get impatient with yourself and think you can figure this thing out. The minister wrote something that was profound in the study guide, Rising Above Emotion. And he talked about the peculiar suffering of a believer. And that the believer, paraphrasing, that a believer don't find recreation in the things of the world. And that really stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I marry a sister who's haven't really given up the world, unquote, and she wants to do this, and she wants to, or he wants to do that. And I'm like, nah, that doesn't make me happy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There's things that makes the believer happy.
That's right.
And so that starts to, and it affects the moms. It affects the study group.
Mm-hmm.
So my advice to brothers and sisters, don't do it. But do get married.
How do you, because my wife and I travel to different cities, and, you know, you still have some cities where brothers will feel like don't talk to the MGT. You know, like, it's, like, you don't say anything to a sister or whatever, and it's like, how we interact? So, like, what do you do to create an environment where single believers can engage one another in a righteous way?
Create events, you know, where believers can come together, you know, other than pushing and selling final call or going in the community together, you know, social events. We don't do enough of that, you know, and I have to tell you, in our city, we have to do more, because the believers should, the Quran says the believers are friends one of another.
Yes.
You know, and one of the things my wife taught me, because she came from a mosque, right, Buffalo, New York, and she was like, honey, I mean, like, we talk to everybody. Like, y'all need to get with it. Like I get a brother's the greetings, and brothers be looking at me like, you shouldn't have gave me the greeting. What's wrong with y'all up in here?
That's right.
So I had to be taught that by my wife. So I come into mine, I'm giving the sisters the greetings. I'm like dapping the sister. They're like, oh, you're supposed to be, who told us we can't do what? So we take on these perceptions of what we should not be doing. Who told us that? So, you know, we have little dance-offs sometimes, right? Because I used to be a former break dancer. There's a sister who was a dancer. One day, like, we had there having a dance-off, like, in the middle of it. And Breeze looking like, what you doing? Like, man, we ain't breaking the law. There is no social standard that we are submitting to that's beneath who we are. We still human beings. So we have to learn that. Now, you don't go beyond that. And I think a lot of us know what the standard is, what the limitations are. So yeah, get a sister that greatest.
A lot of single sisters and single brothers in Rochester.
Not a lot of single sisters,
A lot of single brothers.
but too many single brothers.
Age,
We're working on that.
age ranges as well.
40 older brothers.
Older brothers.
Yeah.
Well, we about to go and have dinner. We have one more question, and we're about to shut it down. So we thank you for your visit, man, and your spirit and the lecture that you gave. I can see him delivering that lecture at Mars Marion, and I think it really like the talent that we have in the Nation of Islam. We have talent. Minister has duplicated himself. We have to do a better job of exposing the greater nation to the jewels and the stars that we have.
Yes, sir.
So thank you all.
Thank you, brother, student ministers, and the laborers and the believers here. This has been water for my soul.
Wow.
I think I have a brother that is a brother, that is a great helper, and I say thank you, brother.
Welcome.
From the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. Been trying to get him here. Like,
Yes,
I ain't
sir.
forget. We will get you. So we got you. There's several
Man,
other
what
ones
he
out
did
there.
tell me.
Been trying to get you. So thank you all. Thank you all for being
Yes,
here,
thank
and
you.
enjoy your Sunday.
Well,